So guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a blog like this. We have light mode, we have dark mode. I'm also going to show you how you can draw attention to a line after you write some code in your blog. I'll show you how to add this copy button. I'll also show you how you can draw attention to a certain word. What if you want to just highlight banana, or what if you want to just highlight fruits.length? I'm going to show you how to do that. Also, we'll create this on this page, which you must have seen in different websites. Now, the moment I click on objects, this is going to scroll, and the moment I am going to click on control flow, this will scroll to control flow. The best part about this is that this is all automatic. You don't have to manually write code for individual blog to make it work. So we'll see how to make this automatic. And also I'm going to show you how to create this glass-like effect using Tailwind CSS. The about page looks amazing. The contact page looks amazing. We'll build it from scratch. I'm going to use Shadcn UI. Now please don't click away from this video, because I know the moment you hear different new technologies, you might think that this is not possible for me because I don't know Shadcn UI. This is not possible for me because I don't know Markdown, or maybe you don't know Tailwind CSS. But rest assured, I'm going to show you how this blog is built step by step, and I'm going to show you the right way to do it. Also, this blog is responsive. So if I switch to iPhone 12, this is going to appear like this, and you can see that we have this mobile navigation menu, and if you scroll down, you'll see all these FAQs, and you can design this blog, but I'm going to focus on functionality more than the blog itself. So let's get started with this blog. I'm not going to waste any further time. We'll see how all these pages will be created. We'll see how this dark mode, light mode, all these things will be created using Next.js. So yeah, you'll have to install Next.js, and if you don't know Next.js, and if you just do React, that is also fine. I'm going to explain you each and everything step by step. So let's get started. So let's open Next.js docs, and we are going to create a new application. So get started. And to create a new Next.js application, we need to simply run this, create next app at latest. So if I copy this and if I paste it in the terminal, so let me open terminal, shift right click. I have this folder called awesome blog pwh. Now I have this folder, and I'm going to open this in terminal, and I'm going to copy this command, and then I'm going to paste this command in this terminal. So let's type this npx create next app at latest. This is going to ask me, what is your project named? Now if you type the name of your project, it will create a folder with that project. And if you want to create your Next.js app in the same directory, you can put a dot. By putting dot, it will spread all the files here. Do you want to use TypeScript? I'll say no. Do you want to use ESLint? I'll say yes. Or maybe we can use TypeScript. If you want, we can use TypeScript, because a lot of people say that TypeScript must be used. So let's use TypeScript. ESLint, yes. Tailwind CSS, yes. SRC directory, no. And then app router, yes. Would you like to customize the default import alias? No, because Next.js provides a default import alias, which I don't want to customize. Now these options might be different for you, because these options are based on your previous preference. If you already have this create next app installed, you might have different options, and you will have to use arrow keys to change those options. So as you can see, this app has been created. Let's check the folder. Yes, it has a lot of files now. Now I'm going to shift right click and click on open with code to open this in VS Code. Now this has opened in VS Code for me, awesome pwh blog. Now let's open this terminal, and we'll say pnpm run dev. Now you might say, what is pnpm? Pnpm is simply brother of npm. pnpm, and I don't want to spend a lot of time, but simply install pnpm if you want the caching to be very efficient. So how do you install pnpm? You can simply go to your terminal and say npm i-g pnpm. Oops. pnpm, and this will globally install pnpm, and then you can use pnpm. I don't want to spend a lot of time on pnpm, and you don't have to either. So let's run this pnpm run dev command, and as you can see that I have this localhost 3000 app running. This is a brand new Next.js app, which we are going to customize, and we are going to create our blog using this app. So let's go to page.jsx. Now, if you don't know what is page.tsx, if you're using TypeScript, now if you don't know what is page.tsx, This is the entry point. Now the Next.js app router is based on file-based routing, which means that your app folder will have all the routes. Now the page.tsx file will serve /route. If you create a folder inside app, let us say if we create a folder called about/page.tsx. Now page.tsx will be responsible to serve /about endpoint. Okay, now we are going to go to extensions and we are going to install an extension called ES6 React Redux snippets. So ES6 React ES7, I think it's called React Native ES7 snippets, and I guess I have already installed this, so I don't have to, but I want to show you that this extension will be used. It's called ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippets. Make sure you install this by DSZ-Najdar, and I'll tell you why you have to install it. Once you install it, you can type RAFCE, and this will create a React functional component. Okay, so we can simply call this about, and the moment you type RAFCE, you can type about, and this changes the content and the export default, the name of the component about. So all you have to do is RAFCE and type about, and you are good to go. Now if I go to /about, I'll show you that we have this about, but we don't want to keep a page this simple. We want to create a blog that looks like the one we saw during the demo. So let's go to our VS Code and let's install Shadcn UI. Now what is Shadcn UI? Okay, so it's not a component library, but I'll show you. It is not a component library. If you go to docs, it tells this is not a component library. It's a collection of reusable components. How do you install it? Simply install it using pnpm. You can go to installation. Then since we are using Next.js, I'm going to click on Next.js, and we have already created our Next.js app. So we'll copy this command. The moment you press this copy button, you are shown some options. Are you using npm or yarn or pnpm? Simply copy the pnpm, paste it, press enter, and yes, we have installed Shadcn UI. So it will ask you a few questions. It is asking you which style would you like to use. I'm going to go with default. You can try New York as well later. It simply makes your component look a little bit different, but let's go for default, and I'm going to go for slate, and I'm going to keep this really simple. Would you like to use CSS variables for colors? Yes. And let's wait for it to install. It will install in few seconds. So success, yes, it has installed and Shadcn has been installed. Now we'll have to install all these components individually. Let me showcase Shadcn to you very quickly. If you go to components, we have accordion, we have alert dialog. If you go to accordion, you can get this by copy pasting this component. I'll show you how you can get this, but let's see what it can provide. You can get this alert component, which looks something like this. You can get the alert dialog, which looks something like this. It really looks cool. And then you can get an avatar. You can get aspect ratio. I'll tell you why it is useful. And then you can get a badge like this. You can get breadcrumbs like this. And then you can use buttons. And now buttons is really simple, but again, it helps you create different types of buttons. We'll see why we should use Shadcn buttons. And then calendar looks something like this. Then we have card, which looks something like this. And then we have carousel, which looks something like this. Now you can always create these carousels using Tailwind CSS, using JavaScript. I know you can do it. You know you can do it. But the thing is, Shadcn saves a lot of time. Now charts is something new. You can use chart, and you can have different sort of charts. And if you use default, the chart is going to look something like this. And if you use New York, the chart is going to look something like this. Okay. It's matter of choice. You can always customize it. And yeah, accept terms and conditions. This is checkbox. Then we have collapsible. Now collapsible looks something like this. And then you have combo box. You have a lot of components. You have a resizable component, which is really difficult to create, at least time taking to create, if not difficult. And then we have a switch. We have a toast like sonar. If you click here, something like this pops up. We have text area. And why text area? Text area is there in HTML, right? No. Text area is there in HTML, but it doesn't look something like this. This text area is cooler than the one that we get in HTML. And then you have this toggle, you have this toggle group, then tooltip, toast looks something like this. Then we have toggle toggle looks something like this. Let us say you want to enable dark mode, it will highlight it something like this. And then if you click it again, it will remove the highlight. And then toggle group, it looks something like this. You can toggle different sort of things. If you want to create a WYSIWYG editor, this is an example from a WYSIWYG editor. If you don't know what a WYSIWYG editor is, let's not discuss much about it. It's not the topic of this video. Then we have this tooltip. The moment you hover, it is going to show you some text. All these components can be used very conveniently just by installing it. And the best part is you don't have to install all the components at once. You can install the ones that you really want to use. This is the best part about Shadcn because it keeps your application lightweight. Now let's get back to VS Code and let's start creating our blog page. Let's start by creating a blog page. How do we create a blog page? We can go to app and we can say blog, and then we can say /page.tsx. Okay, this is a blog page. And then we can have a blog post page, which will be blog post / and then slug.tsx. Now you might be wondering what exactly is this slug.tsx. In fact, I should create a slug folder, and then inside the slug folder, there should be page.tsx. So let me fix this real quick. Page.tsx, and then there should be a slug folder. And then inside the slug folder, there should be this page.tsx. Let me move it inside the slug folder. I think I created a file called slug. My bad. Let me remove this. So inside my blog post, I want to create a folder called slug. And then inside the slug folder, I want to move this page.tsx. Okay, so we have this about folder, and then inside the app, we should have this blog post folder. Alright, so this is how the app looks now. We have this app folder, then we have about, then we have a blog folder, and then we have a blog post folder inside which we have a slug folder, and then page.tsx. Why do we have this slug folder? Because we want to use something called dynamic routes in Next.js, and I'll show you how it works. So let's go to our about page, and you can see that we have a page.tsx right here, and we can write our about page very easily. But before that, I want to show you how we can create a blog page. So let's get started by writing our blog page, because that is the simplest thing that we can do after installing Shadcn. Now I want to use buttons from Shadcn. Now since I've installed Shadcn, I want to show you something. Now if you go to your globals.css, it has actually added some CSS here. And then it also has Tailwind, which you can see from tailwind.config.ts. Now if you go to Shadcn documentation, they have some configuration. Now we have run this, and then we should be copying this and then pasting it to our root layout. Now we have a layout.tsx here. Let's paste it. And also I'm going to very blindly copy this and paste this. Why am I saying blindly? Because I don't want to focus much on fonts at this point. I'm going to follow what Shadcn documentation is saying. And then let's copy this body tag also, and I'll explain you what the CN is. Let me copy this first, and this is the body tag, and CN should be imported. Quick fix, add import from libutils, and yes, it works. You can also type this out if the option doesn't show up, but it should. Okay, let's get back and let's see, is there anything else that we need to do? No, we don't. So we need to import font family in our tailwind.conf.js. In our case, this is TS because we are using TypeScript. And if you don't know TypeScript, do not worry. I'm going to show you everything. Just follow along and you will learn everything. So import font family from Tailwind CSS / default theme. If I'm not wrong, yes. Tailwind CSS / default theme, yes. Now this is require, but I'm using CommonJS. Okay, so sorry, I'm using modules. This is CommonJS. So let's now copy this and add it to extend. So you see this extend here, you need to paste it to your extend. Now this part might seem a little boring, but you have to do it. And all I'm doing is following the documentation. And trust me, I'm going to explain you what the CN is about. But after some time, I'm going to explain you what the CN is. So let's move and let's start building our page UI. Okay. Now I'm going to create a folder called components where I will add my components. Now this is already created if you are using Next.js 14 or 15. Now I'm going to click on this plus icon and I'm going to say max width wrapper.tsx. Okay, this is a component. Now this component will help out by creating a max width wrapper around your application. So sometimes what happens is you have to create a max width wrapper around your components and it gets really difficult because you have to add that max width wrapper to each and every component. I'm going to import cn and I'm going to explain what this cn is in a while. Let's add class name to this div. The first class name is mxauto. Now what is mxauto? mxauto and max width screen excel. Max width and mxauto are used to center something. So if I have something written here, it will be centered to the screen. And also I want to use width full so that this gets a full width, and then margin y of 12. I want some margin at the top of my components. All the components, wherever I wrap this max width, I'm typing my13 because I need a margin y of 12. And then we'll have an input class name that will receive as props to this component. Okay. Now we have class name here, and then we'll have children here because this is a wrapper. Children, and since we are using TypeScript, we'll have to create an interface, and let's create an interface called max width props. Interface max width props. So we have class name, which is a string, and then we have children, which is nothing but react node. Yes. So we have this interface, and now the error is gone. So all we are doing is we are saying that, hey, wrap anything that this max width wrapper gets inside a div. Children. Okay, now I'm putting children in here, and as you can see, this will wrap this children. Okay, now I'll show you why we did this, and let me show you what this cn is. Now cn is a function that will allow you to merge two different classes in Tailwind CSS. Now let me first tell you that why we need the cn function. This is a function that Shadcn gives us. Now let us say you have a class mxauto, max w screen excel, and w full. Now let us say you want to add another class which is called my class, and you want this my class to override all the CSS properties that are coming from these individual classes. Do you think this will work? No, this will not work because we don't know in what order this CSS is going to generate. This was done by Tailwind CSS. So in order to merge two classes such that the later class gets the priority, we need to use the cn function. Now, some people still have this misconception that if you add a class after something, let us say if I say flex and then I say block. Now, some people think that the display of this div is block, but no. We don't know whether it's flex or block. If you want it to be block, if you want that if a block is added after flex, it should take preference, you need to use cn function. So in order to make this work, we will use cn. And since we are using JavaScript, we'll have to wrap it in curly brackets. And let's do this. And also let's merge. Okay. So let us say I want to merge this with another class. I can add that another class here. Okay. Now what is that another class? Obviously that another class is class name. This is getting an input. Now why am I typing class name here? So this max width wrapper is actually a wrapper which will get class names. You should be able to add class name to this component. And whenever you add any class to this component, that class should take the priority. And in order to give priority to that class, you need to use cn function. And you need to put this class name as the second parameter of cn function. So this div will have these classes, but if I give another class through props, those classes should get the priority. I hope that is clear. Okay, if it's not, please watch this part of the video again. Now let's come back to page.tsx, not this one, but this one, the homepage.tsx, which has all the Next.js things inside. So if you go to the home page of this app, you will get you'll get this 3000. My bad, localhost 3000. I think the app is not running. I'll have to run the app. What is it? pnpm run dev. This was not running. I think I restarted my terminal, but that should be fine. It should work now. Localhost 3000. This works. And yeah, this page is not looking very good because we have added CSS from Shadcn, and we are going to fix this in a while. So let's do one thing. Let's come back to this main tag. Let's remove this main tag and let's re-add this main tag again. And we are going to add a navbar to the entire app. So how do you do that? You do that using layout.tsx. And also I don't want the title of this to be create next app. I want it to be programming with Harry. And also I want the description to be the description of programming with Harry. Now there is a good practice here. And the good practice says that you should have a config folder where you should be able to configure your variables. Okay, so how do we add a config folder? You can add a config folder by simply creating that config folder, and we can configure things using this config folder. So config/site.ts. Okay, let's say export default, and let's export an object. So I'll say title, and let me cut this and call this config, site config, and let's say const site config is equal to title programming with Harry. And the thing is that you can import this from site.ts. So where is my layout? I just closed it. So you don't have to type it out because in future you can change it. So site config, let me import site config dot title. Okay, so the site config has been imported, and then we have site config dot title, and then we'll have site config dot description, and let's add description here. So description, oops, and programming with Harry is a blog for your programming doubts. We'll generate it using ChatGPT. So the thing is that you can generate it using ChatGPT also. If you have your site config at one place and you don't want to type boring things, you can always generate it using ChatGPT. Okay, let's go back to our page and let's see how it looks. So we have the title set. We should have the description set. If you go to right click, view page source, we should have the description set. So if you go to programming, we have the description, we have the meta description set. This is very important for SEO, guys. Okay, now let's add a navbar component. So I'll come to components and I'll create a file called navbar.tsx refce, and then press enter. Let's create a navbar. So let's return nav, and I'm going to create a navbar here, and nav will have a class of flex. Class name is equal to flex, display flex, and then we have a UL inside this, and then we have li inside of this, and li will have some links, and link will come from next link. So we'll say import link from next link, and then we have link href is equal to slash, and then inside this I'll say home, and then we'll say about. So li link about, and then href will be about. Href is equal to slash about, and let's see how it looks. It should not look very good, but it should not look very bad either. We don't have used the navbar component yet. So let's go to layout.tsx. Let's close to the right, and also let's close this global.css and site.ts. I'll add the navbar right after body above the children. So let's add the navbar here. So let's say navbar, and it's automatically imported. As you can see, it is automatically imported, which is why I don't see any errors. So this is how my website is looking at this point. Home, about, we have the links, but it looks very ugly. So let's make it better by using by going to this navbar, and let's add a div here. So let's add a div here, and we'll say programming with Harry. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to create a logo, and then I'm going to create a navigation bar at the right of the logo. Okay, so how do we fix it, we can use Shadcn UI actually, and we also want to make this navbar sticky. So we can use Shadcn UI for the buttons that I'm going to add. But in order to make it sticky, I'm going to give it some height, and let's say H16, and let's say BG red. And you'll say, why BG red, Harry? This looks really ugly. Wait a minute, I just want to see how it looks, and then I'm going to change the color of this to something else. Okay, so do not worry at all. I'm going to add some border. So first let me make it sticky and then top 0. This will actually help me get it at the top when I scroll. It really helps when you want your navbars to stick to the top. And then border B will add this CSS, which is border bottom width 1 pixel. It will add a very good looking border. And then let's say BG background. Now what is BG background? And let's say 60. Now BG background 60 will actually give it an opacity of 0.6, and it will add minus background color as background. Now what is this minus background color? We got it from Shadcn. And if you look at globals.css, you'll see that this background is this color. This is HSL. So if you want to convert it to RGB or RGBA, you can do that. You can go to Google and learn about HSL. It's called hue, saturation, and L is for lightness, if I'm not wrong. Yes, L is for lightness. Please confirm this in the comment, guys. It is for lightness, I guess. Yeah, let's come back to a navbar.tsx and let's start building our navbar. So we have this border B, and we have added a BG background 60, which gives it a very good look. I want px8 so that it has padding in X, and then backdrop blur. Let's add backdrop blur. Backdrop blur will simply add this blur effect, which really looks cool. So if I show you my navbar, it looks something like this. But again, in the dark mode, this is going to look really good. And if there is some content behind it, this backdrop blur really looks good. In order to demonstrate this, I want to open the page.tsx and let me add some text. I think I've added a lot of text. I should not be creating such huge files. But if you look at this, this is creating a blur effect. As you can see, this looks like a glass and it really looks good. So let me remove this. I've created a huge file. I shouldn't have done that. 435, and I think this should give me enough. No, it didn't. 4350 should give me enough scroll. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we have this website. We are going to change the content of this website. Do not worry. Let me finish the navbar first. So let me come back to navbar, and I want this programming with Harry to look bold. So class name is equal to font bold, and then text XL. I want it to look little larger, and then we want to give display flex to a navbar as well. So let's give it a display flex, and after giving it display flex, it looks something like this. And let me inspect this and let me see how it looks at this point. So we have this navbar. The width of this navbar is full. Then we have this div, then we have this UL. Let me give flexbox to this UL also. So if I say class name is equal to flex, and if I say width full, and let me also add a color to this. So we have this UL taking this much of space, and then we have this div taking some space. Now if I add justify content space around or space between, it doesn't work because I should be using align items. Okay, so I should say align item center. Let me align these items to center. So align item center, and then we are going to add justify between to this one because I want this to go away from this. Now since I want this home to be at the end, so let me justify this to end. Justify end should work well here, and yeah, it does. So we have this navbar, and also I want some space, so I'll say space x 4 maybe, and the space x4 will give the space between all these. Okay, this looks fine. Let me also add a button, so I'll say li dot buttons, and I'm going to add buttons from Shadcn. Now, how do we add buttons from Shadcn? You might ask. You can go to Shadcn UI, go to button, and copy this code because you want to add a button. So PNPM, since we are using PNPM, you can use NPM as well. I don't have any problem, but PNPM is going to be much faster than NPM. So please use PNPM. All you need to add is this extra P and NPM I minus G PNPM, obviously. Let's copy this button and let's use this button. So I'll simply go back to my page.navbar.tsx and let me add a button here. So in order to add a button, you have two options. One is you can either add this as a button, or you can also add as a link like this. So if you want to add it as a link like this, all you need to do is this. And let's import button variants, and also let's import, I'll go to quick fix. Okay, so it says href is missing. So href is equal to /login. So let us say we have a login page and we have a sign up page. Login, and then we have, let us say, a sign up page. Sign up. Okay, we have two buttons here. Let's see how our website looks now. It looks something like this. So these buttons are not aligned, so we need to align this vertically. So in order to align this vertically, we'll say item center. So item center will align it vertically, and let's add some space. So to this li, I'm going to add space x4 maybe. Let's see how it looks. It's up to you. You can either add space x2 or you can add space x4 unless it looks good. And I might also add space x6 here. And it looks something like this. So it's your choice. If you want some padding, you can add the padding as well. So if you want the padding, if you say px5 maybe, px4 maybe, px4 will work. And space x2, I'll have to add some space x2 also. And yeah, it looks fine. I think it looks fine. Now I also want to be able to add a button to toggle dark mode or light mode. Now in Shadcn, you can actually use dark mode and light mode. They have the entire page dedicated to this. So if you go to Next.js, if you click on dark mode here, and if you go to Next.js, and if you create a theme provider, so first you need to install this package called Next Themes. Let's take this step by step. We are going to add dark theme and light theme now. So let's take this step by step. I've added this Next Themes package. It is installing. It has installed. Now I'll create a theme provider.tsx file and paste this inside of this. Okay, so theme provider.tsx. Let's create this theme provider.tsx. Let me go to components and let me say theme providers.tsx, and let's paste the content as is. And you don't have to understand how it works. I'm going to explain how it works, but for now you don't have to. Let's get this working first. And then inside a layout.tsx, you need to copy this layout.tsx. Where is my layout.tsx? It's here. Okay, I'm going to copy this, and components theme provider. Theme provider is declared, but its value is never read. Okay, we are going to use it. So we want our body to get access to the theme provider. So let's copy this, and do not worry. I'm going to explain you everything. Our navbar should have access to theme provider. Control X. So whatever you wrap inside this theme provider will have access to the default theme. So default theme here is system. If you make it dark, it will be dark mode. Okay, so if I make it dark, my website will go on dark mode. Now it's giving me some errors which I'm eventually going to solve, but let me see what the error is. It says failed to compile module not found theme provider. Let's check what the issue is. So it says that cannot find module theme provider, all its theme provider. Okay, so I actually named it as theme providers. I should call it theme provider. It should work now. So it is still showing me red line, and I'll show you how to fix it. So if you go to Control Shift B, if you open your command palette and you type restart TS server, and if you restart your TS server, this error will go. Sometimes your error doesn't go away. So if you want it to go away, and if you are sure that you have done everything right and still you are seeing that red line, you can always right click, go to command palette and search for restart type TS server and simply run it, and it will work. So let's refresh and it's still not working. It says that you forgot to add min CSS extract plugin. And I think I need to restart my app. Let me restart my app. This happens sometimes. So let's restart the app. And after I restart the app, I hope it works. It's compiling and yes, it works. And you can see that we have dark mode and it's looking really good. And if you don't like this glass effect, you can always tweak this opacity variable, which is 60 at this point. If you want to make it 40, if you want to play around with this variable, you can do that. So 40 also looks good. So let's keep it 40, or maybe in between 40 and 60. Let me keep it 50, but it's up to you. It's up to you. Now I want the ability to change this theme to light or dark. At this moment, I can do this manually by going to layout.tsx. I can do this manually by changing this default theme to light. Okay. Now if I change this to light and if I refresh, it should have changed to light, but not sure why it is not light. Control Shift R doesn't work. Default theme light. Let's restart. Maybe restarting will work. Restarting and reloading the page makes it light, but I want the ability to make it light and dark by clicking this button. So let's import these two buttons first, and then we'll see how we can toggle the themes. But let's go to this page, and this page has this button, and if you switch to dark or light, you can always change to light and dark. Let's copy this button as is. I really like this. So let's import these buttons first, and then also import use theme. And I'll also have to make my component a client component, which is Navbar. So let me make the Navbar as client component because I'm not anyway doing any server side stuff. So let's make this component as client component, use client. Let's import the icons, and then it says that you have not used it. We will use it, don't worry. Let's import this button. I think we have already imported the button. Let's copy this, and let's copy the mode toggle also. And I think if I do this, this should work. But I think a better approach would be to copy this and create a separate component out of it. So let's do that. Instead of making this a client component, let me create a separate component called theme toggle. Theme toggle.tsx, and I don't want to repeat the mistake. And let's paste this. So I've actually copied this, and after copying this, I've pasted this. And I think I have not installed the dropdown, so we'll have to install the dropdown. Let's go to dropdown and let's install it. So as you know that you have to install all of these components one by one, step by step. So we have not done that. So let's copy the npm code to install the dropdown, and let's install it. And let's wait for this dropdown to install. I think it has finished installing and all the errors should go now. Let's restart TypeScript server. Restart TypeScript server. It works. But I think we don't have this module installed. We'll have to use this React icons install. So let's copy this and let's do pnpmi Redux UI React icons. And yeah, it has been installed. So let's restart the TS server to quickly get rid of this red line. Okay, let's get back to our app, and it looks something like this. We still don't see any button because we have not added it. So let's import the mode toggle. Import mode toggle from theme toggle, and let's see what else we can do. We can add this mode toggle here, mode toggle, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so it has not come up yet. Let's restart the app. Okay, so it's compiling, and yeah, it's here. So if I click on this one, it doesn't work for some reason, and I'm not sure why it doesn't work. Is there anything I've not done correct? Let me check. I'm seeing some error. Extra attributes from the server. HTML root layout React boundary. Oh, but the good part is that this button now works. So let's see if we can switch the theme. We can switch the theme, but the thing is that we are seeing this error. So let me Google this error very quickly. Okay, so what causes this error? Okay, so if I have some extensions installed, then those extensions are causing this error. Probably if I open a guest window, I think this error should go. So if I open a guest window, this error should not be present. And I think I should not worry about this, but it's still present. I'm not sure why. So let's see why this error is coming. What causes the Next.js warning? Disable the Grammarly extension, solve the problem. So since this is only the warning, we are going to ignore it for now and we'll fix it later. But at this point, this works. The only thing is that this is not centered, so I should center this. So how do I center this mode toggle? I can place it inside of an li. I can place it inside of an li, and I think this should center it. And if I refresh the page, it is centered and it looks good. Also, it has some spacing as well, which I really like. Now, if you like it as is, you can keep it as is, but I really want it to be clickable. And the moment I click it, I should be able to switch between the buttons and it should toggle the light mode and dark mode. But if you want to keep it as is, you can do that. You can always change it to change the icon on click. Okay, but I am going to focus on this functionality later. So let's go to inspect and let's see how it looks on mobile. It doesn't look good and we'll have to fix it. So how do we fix it? We are going to install Shadcn component. Which Shadcn component? I'll show you. But before that, I want to be able to hide this li. Okay, so let's hide this li. The moment we have this, let's move this mode toggle outside of UL because I want to hide the UL entirely on phones. Okay, so I'll say hidden and MD flex, hidden and MD flex. MD should be flex. So let's add it here, hidden MD flex, and let's remove this hidden from here. Now, the moment I switch to a phone, this looks something like this, and I want this to be towards the right. So how do I align it to the right? I'll have to figure out. So we have this now, we have this div, and then we have this button. So inside this div, we have a UL and a button. Okay, and inside this nav, we have a UL and a button. So we'll have to change the justify part of this. So we'll say justify content and not center. I think it's called space between, yeah, space between. So justify content will be space between. So justify between. Okay, and let's see if it spoils it. Yeah, it will spoil it for sure. So let's fix it by saying justify and at MD, but justify between otherwise. Okay, so the moment I switch it, it is going to work like this, but again, I'm not sure why it's not working. So I want it to justify between. So it doesn't have justify between. Why? Let me check if I've done any mistake. Yes, I've done a mistake, and the mistake is that this justify between should be added here. And I think I should be able to fix it now. So if I change it, it works. It just works. Okay. All right. So we have this programming with Harry and we have this moon icon here. I want to add a hamburger icon here. So I'll go to React icons and React icons, Redux UI React icons. Where is my navbar? Where is theme toggle? So from Redux UI React icons, I'll import Redux UI React icons. I will be importing hamburgers. So let's search for hamburger menu. Okay, so SVG is copied, but I don't want to copy the SVG. I actually want to use it from the package itself. So let's see where I can search for icons. So let's go to navbar and let's try to import hamburger menu icon. Yes, I like it. I like it. Okay, so let's try to add a hamburger icon and let's see if it's visible. And I want this to be visible, and from MD it should be hidden. And let's see if this works. So if I refresh the page, I should see the hamburger icon, which I'm not seeing for some reason. Let me see what's wrong here. I have added the hamburger icon, but it's not visible. But why? Okay, so MD is hidden, but if let me remove this MD hidden from here first of all. And let's see if we get to see the icon. Yes, we get to see the icon. We get to see the icon, but it is not visible after a certain point. So I'll have to add this somewhere here. I think I should add it somewhere here. Yeah, it works, but again, it doesn't look good at this point because again, we'll have to maybe add a div here and we'll have to give it a flex class flex and gap 2 maybe, and then we'll also have to item center because it is not vertically centered. And yeah, you can always increase the size of this icon, so you can have class and you can have size 4. Let me check if size 4 is good enough. Size 8, size 10. Let's go for size 10. It's too big. Size 8, size 6. 6 is a good size, yeah, or maybe 7 is a good size. Let's see if 7 is available. Yeah, it is available, and yeah, 7 is a good size. And the moment you click here, this should open the menu. So let's do one thing. Let's go to Shadcn UI and let's go to, I think it's called menu, if I'm not wrong, menu bar. Yeah, it's actually called Sheets. Now it's a weird name, but I don't know why this name, but it's called Sheets. Let's install Sheet, pnpm. Let's run this. It will install Sheets, and let's copy this and let's paste it here. Paste a sheet here in the navbar, and let's copy this and let's paste this somewhere after inside the nav, maybe, yeah, somewhere here. And then I think all we need to do is click open and it should work, if I'm not wrong. So if I click on open, it works. Yeah, it works, but I don't want to open it when I click open. I want to open it when I click on this hamburger icon. So let's do this. Yeah, it works. It looks good. So we have this hamburger icon, but again, this dark theme is not looking good at this point. So again, a lot of to and fro, but yeah, we'll have to eventually make the application look good. And let's see what is wrong here. So we have this justify between here. Let me remove this justify between. If I remove justify between, let me remove justify between from here. And if I remove justify between, it looks something like this, which is again not looking good. So we'll have to keep the justify between. Let's see what we can do to make it look good. So let me do format document, and what I've done is I've created a new div after the UL, and I've moved this mode toggle and sheet inside of this div, and this fixes the issue. So if I increase this in size, it is responsive. I'll also have to hide this hamburger icon when whenever we reach MD. So if I say class name, I'll have to remove this hamburger icon. So we'll keep the mode toggle, but we want to hide the hamburger icon. So let me say hidden MD hidden, sorry. And let's check if this works. It should work. Yeah, it is working. It should work on phones as well. And on an iPhone, let me check how it works. It looks fine, but I want to change the text size on a phone. So how do I do that? I'll say MD should be text XL, otherwise it should be text MD. Okay, not mutate, text MD, text MD, text LG maybe. Yeah, I think we are good. I think we should be fine by this. And yeah, we have created the navbar, we have created this page. We can get the login page, and also we have this theme toggle working just fine. On phones, it looks something like this. Let me switch to iPhone. Yeah, it looks something like this. And you can always change this and add your menu here. All right, so we have done good enough so far. All right, now that we have come so far, we are going to now create blog page. So I'll come back to this app folder, and inside the blog folder we have page.tsx. So we'll write RAFCE, and I'm going to write blog. And let's come back to a navbar so that we can add the blog page to our navbar. And let's add it here right after this one. So I'll say blog. And I also want to create a contact page, but let me create the blog page first. There has to be a contact page on the website, right? Yes. So this is the blog page, and then we want to display all the blogs. And then we have the contact page where somebody can come and contact us. So this is the blog page, this is the contact page. Let's see if it works. So, okay, so it says fail to compile, unexpected token. Now let me check what's wrong here. Okay, I accidentally dragged. That happens, no worries. So this is our blog page. So what I'm going to do now is use the max width wrapper. Let me close all other tabs which are open, and let's open the blog page.tsx. So I'll say, hey, I need the max width wrapper, and inside the max width wrapper, I want to say h1 and my blogs, and after this I want to write all the blogs. So let's do one thing. Let's go to ChatGPT, and I'll say use Tailwind CSS and give me a React component which has all the blogs listed, and it should be styled and responsive. Use map function, and ChatGPT will do this for you. Now some of you might say that, hey, why are you using ChatGPT? Why can't you do it yourself? I actually can do myself, but the only thing is that I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to waste my time, because I've done it so many times and I don't want to write code to just style a blog page. So let's wait for ChatGPT. All right, it is still generating content. Okay, so let's copy this, and it says that you need to pass all the blogs to this. Okay, we'll handle it. As you can see, it has the blogs, and then we have a blog and index. So let's create an interface for blog. Okay, and then let's call this blog, and let's say we have a slug, and it has to be a string, content is a string, and then title is a string, and let's keep it simple. And then blogs is a list of blog, and blog is a blog, and index is a number. Okay, yes. Now how do we get the blogs? We'll have to somehow get the blogs. So we'll get the blogs like this, const. Let's ask ChatGPT to complete this, or maybe let's do it ourselves. Give me a list of blogs, sample blogs. And why I'm showing this to you, because I want you guys to have a proper understanding of how to use AI to your advantage. Okay, so these are the blogs. Okay, not bad. It's actually generating some blogs which I really like. I can actually stop the generation and tell it the schema for the blog, but that should be fine. I'll just wait. Let's wait for the generation to complete. Okay, so let's copy this. And why are we seeing binding element blog implicitly have blog types? Okay, let's do this. Blogs is this, and why are we seeing this error? Let's do format document, and it says that type blog is not assignable. So we have a blog list component. Let's call it blog type, and I'll call this blog type as well, blogs.map. Okay, so the thing is that this interface is not obeying the format. This blogs is not obeying the format of the interface. We'll have to fix this. So instead of using this blogs, we'll have to first create an interface, and then we'll give this interface to ChatGPT, and we'll say, hey, generate the blog such that it obeys the interface. Okay, image URL should be a string, then content is a string, and then I think that should be fine. I don't even want to keep the description is a string. Okay, let's tell ChatGPT to generate again. The fact that ChatGPT is so intelligent that it simply generates the blog out of this interface is really mind-blowing. So you can see that this has started to generate blog and then Slug content title, and I forgot to mention here that content is Markdown. So I can also mention this, generate again, content is Markdown. Okay, so we can click send and it should be able to generate again. As you can see, here's an updated version of the blog study using the block type interface. Let it generate. Wow, it is actually generating Markdown now. I really like the fact that it is generating Markdown. We will use AI. We will use and we should use AI because it makes you more productive. People say that AI will take your jobs, but I say AI makes you productive. And I'm proving it. Let's wait for the generation to finish and I'll be back. Alright, it has finished generating this. Let's copy the code, and I'm not going to paste it inside my page.tsx because eventually I'll remove it. I'll either fetch the data from the database or from a directory. This is just sample blocks. So let's do one thing. Let's go to our config directory and let's have sample-blogs. Sample blogs.tsx. Okay, and I'll say export default sample blocks. Okay, and let's name it sample blocks. Sample blocks const sample blocks. Okay, let's import sample blocks. So we have imported sample blocks and we'll be using sample blocks. Sample blocks, and then once again blog.image URL. We'll have to copy the interface as well. So we'll say sample blocks and block type. And let's not import block type because anyway I don't want to use this file. This is temporary. So let's copy the block type and I think we should be good. I'll remove this image. I don't want this image. Let's remove the image. Or maybe let's keep this image. I'll say image URL. Image URL is string. And this should work. Okay. So image URL is string. What is the error? It's not assignable. Let's have a semicolon here. Let's remove this props. We don't need the props. And the issue here is that we'll have to add this here as well. So title, description, and we'll have to add image URL, which I'll have to keep optional. So let me keep it optional, and yes, the errors are gone. And there is no link. So I think we'll generate the link using Slug. So let's keep it /blog post /slug. So I'll say /blog post /slug. And we'll use a template literal, and I think that should do. Okay, let's see where we are at this point. Okay, this looks good, but not as good as I thought it should look. Maybe we can make it horizontal, but again, I think that should be fine. We can make it vertical or horizontal. That should not be a problem. Let's add the sample image. So I'll say that if there is no image URL, there should be some image. So I'll say if there is image.url, if there is blog.image URL in the blog, use that, or else use some other image. Sample blog images. Let's see if we can get something. Can we get some blog image? Can we get some blog image? Okay, we can get some images from Splash. Okay, I think we can get this, or maybe this. Open image in new tab. Can I use this? Or let's go to Pexels. You can actually download images from Pexels and use it for free. Let's use this one. Yeah, this one looks good. I'll download it and I'll tell you why. Because if you download it, it's actually very easy to manage the image. And as you can see, I am pasting this here inside the public folder, and let me call it blogimg.jpg. So let's call it blogimg.jpg. So I'll say slash public slash blog img.jpg, and this should load the image. Yes, it loads the image, but again we need to fix the background. So how do we fix the background? I think this has added some background. We don't want a background white because we already have a background. So the light theme and dark theme should be taken care of. Let me check. Let me toggle the light theme. Yeah, it works, but again, I want this to be whiter because this kind of looks off. I don't want text indigo. I don't want any color. I think we are good without the color. And there is text gray 700 as well. We don't need that either. And I think, yes, we are good now. So if we switch to light mode, it looks good. Dark mode, yeah. But can we somehow change this to object fit contain? But it doesn't look good if I make it contain. Let me see what else we can do. I want this cup of coffee to be visible. So I'll make it object position. And it's always a good idea to try it out here before you try it out on the in the IDE using Tailwind CSS, because it really makes it easy for you. So if you say object position top, I want to try top. Yeah, the cup is visible. So I'm very happy that the cup is visible. Good. So I'll make object position top and it should work. So inside the image, we'll say object position top. Yeah, and you should be able to see the CSS if you have Tailwind CSS IntelliSense extension installed. So if you go to your extensions and you search for Tailwind CSS IntelliSense, install it and you will get all these suggestions. This is how the blog looks now. You can always change this button, but I'm not changing it as of now. So we can go to blog post, blogspot. I need to fix this. I think I misspelled it here, not there. Blog post / blog.slug. And here we need to catch the slug using dynamic routes. I'll show you how that is done. But before that, I think I need to get this button fixed. It is not looking good. And this is kind of giving me OCD. So let's use this button instead. And the code of this button is really simple. You just have to say import button and use it. So it's very, very simple. Let's import button. I'll say import button from UI button, and where is read more? It's here. So I'll say ahref is equal to this, class name is equal to, I think I can use variant, and I don't have to memorize everything. I can always say class name is equal to button variants, and I think I can, it says, okay, let me see what's wrong. I have made some mistake. Button variants, I think there is an extra curly bracket. Yeah, let's import button variants, and this should look good. Let's see how it looks, and based of that we'll make our decision of changing it. I think this looks clean. But if you want it to look even better, you can change it to variant. Variant can be either of these, default, or let's try default. Yeah, it looks good. I think default looks better. Light theme looks something like this. The dark theme looks something like this. I need some space at the top and bottom of our blocks. I know it looks good, but I want to make it better by adding my2, and I think this looks clean. So these images will be replaced by different sort of images from Pexels maybe. So we can download images from Pixabay or Pexels, and the more images we have, better it will look, because if you have same image throughout the blog, it doesn't look that good. So you can always do that. This is the default image, but if you have image URL assigned in your blog, for example, if I open this one and if I get the URL of this image and if I paste it here in the sample blog section, I think I can always say something like this and it should work. Let's see if it works. yeah, it works. So the image for Tailwind CSS is different. I can actually increase the height of this image. This doesn't look idle. So the height of this image is 48. I think we need to fix it. We need to even increase it to 64. 64 looks even better. I think we have done a great job displaying all the blogs. Now the next step is to get our blog page working. So let's get our blog page working. So if you click on read more, this says that default export is not a React component. So you need to create a React component and you need to change this to blog post. Okay, now this should work and it says blog post. I will wrap it inside of max width container wrapper, and the max width wrapper has already been imported automatically. Let's add something inside this max width wrapper. It says it is missing class name. It is missing class name. So class name is equal to blank. I don't know why it is giving me this. And it says that it is also missing some children. Yeah, now it looks clean. Now as you can see that the SDF is centered and we can add further items to this max width wrapper. So let me show you the items that I want here. First thing that I want here is a flex box, and inside this flex box I want to put the title and HTML content. So I'll say h1 and I'll say title here, and I want to justify between, and I'll tell you why. And since we already have max width wrapper, we don't need max width and MX auto, and I think we should be good. We have a title here, and then we'll have div inside which we'll set dangerously set inner HTML, and we'll set the HTML. This is a way to set the HTML content. Now, where do we get the HTML content from is the question. So for now, I'll create a constant and I'll say HTML content is equal to, and I'll say, let me say div im HTML, and we'll replace this with blog content. Don't worry. Let's see how this looks at this point. Title here, im HTML here. I think we have done a mistake. So we have flex box, and inside the flex box we have title here. I think we don't need a flex box. That should be fine. Let's directly add a title here, and yeah, this looks good. Title here, and then I want to put the HTML here. So we can get inspired from different blog templates as well. You can look it up online, but at this point I want to keep things really very simple. So I'll add some classes to this h1. I'll say class name is equal to text lg and then font bold, and I think that should do. Or maybe I should increase the font size to XL. Let's see how it looks. Let's do format document. Sorry, not format document. I want to reset it. Maybe the font size is not large enough, so let's make it 2XL. But it depends. It depends. So this is going to be the title of your blog, and then here we'll have a content of the blog. You can even have image, but I think I'll skip the image part at this point and I'll focus on the HTML content part. So HTML content will be the content of the blog. Now let's see how we can get the slug from this URL. So we have slug here. So I want you guys to go to Next.js docs and search for dynamic routes. Okay, dynamic routes from the app router, not pages router. So if you go to dynamic routes, and if you go to this thing, if you copy the TypeScript code, you can copy this TypeScript code as is, and you should be able to get the slug. So inside the params you should get slug. So let us replace this, export default function page, and I want to make it block page, params, then param slug, and we can destructure slug as well from the params, and you should get the slug. So if you say params and then params has a slug, or we can simply do params dot slug. Okay, Yeah, this should be good. Params.slug. And if you come back to this URL and refresh, it says can only set one of children or dangerously set in the HTML. Okay, so I made a mistake here. I want to remove this from the children, and I should keep this params.slug separate, and this will work now. So as you can see that we have mastering React components here, and I want to fetch the content through this slug. You can set up a database. You can either use a CMS, but I'll tell you a very straightforward way of using this slug to fetch data and storing your data, and that is the file system. One of the very straightforward ways of storing your blog is a content directory. So you can create a new file by double clicking in the empty area here. So if I double click here, I can actually create a file. I'll say content/hello.md. This is a markdown file which I'm going to parse using some npm packages, and I'll show you which packages we are going to use. So in order to parse this markdown, I'm going to use a package called gray matter. So gray matter is a package that we are going to use. So let's look into gray matter. I'm going to close all these unnecessary tabs and search for gray matter. Gray matter is an npm package which is used to extract the title slug written in this manner out of this markdown file. Okay, so let us say you have a markdown file written in this format. Okay, so let me generate a markdown file using ChatGPT. I'll say generate a markdown file in this format. Slug content title description. Title description content. Content here and description here. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's analyzing it. I think I should ask it to insert markdown here. And let's put this as JavaScript tutorial. Generate a markdown file in this format for JS tutorial. Okay, let's click send. And it's analyzing. So let's wait for it to analyze. And it should be able to generate the markdown. And by the time it is generating the markdown, let me tell you about Rehype, Remark, and Unified. So Rehype, Remark, Unified, and I'll tell you what all these things are. So Unified is an npm package. Let me show you. It's an interface to process content with syntax trees. So if you're using Rehype or Remark, you'll have to use Unified. So you have to use Unified in order to use Remark and Rehype. Now I'll tell you what is Remark and Rehype. Remark, as you can see, mark is for markdown and hype is for hypertext markup language, which is HTML. We use Rehype to transform HTML, and we use Remark to transform markdown. So if we have something written in markdown format, and I'm not sure why it gave me the file. Oh wow, it has actually generated a file. Wow, this looks good actually. Let's copy this code and let me see what it has generated. So if I open this, it has actually generated this. Wow, I like it. So we have this JS tutorial, we have Slug, and let's rename this. Let's rename this to JS tutorial, JS-tutorial, and comprehensive guide on learning JavaScript. So we'll render this using Remark, Rehype, Unified, and gray matter. So gray matter is used to extract this content out of this file, and Remark and Rehype are used to convert this to proper HTML. Okay, so let's install all these. So we are going to install Rehype, we are going to install Remark, and we are going to install Unified. Now there are tons of plugins for Remark. There are tons of plugins for Rehype. The fact that Remark is used to transform Markdown and Rehype is used to transform HTML remains the same. Okay. So as you can see, we have Remark parse, which is used to parse Markdown. We have Remark Rehype, which is used to convert Markdown. And then also let me copy this entire workflow, and we are going to use this workflow as is. So somebody has built a workflow. We are going to use this workflow as is. Let's use this workflow. Let's copy this and let's paste it somewhere here. Page.tsx inside the blog. No, we need the page.tsx inside this blog post. Let's paste it here, and let's also install all these packages. So I'll use AI and I'll ask ChatGPT to generate a command, generate a pnpm command to install these. Okay. Let's wait for this command to finish. Let's copy this. Let's paste this. And yes, we have successfully installed all these. So we'll go to command palette, we'll restart TypeScript server, and all the errors are gone. And now we are going to use this function to actually convert the raw content to proper HTML formatted content. So let's copy this. And let me also put the URL of this blog here. Now you can always create your own workflow, but I'm using this blog because somebody has already created a workflow where they're using tons of plugins, and they've also written why they're using these plugins. Okay. Now, if you don't want to use this thing, I mean, I have copied this directly from this blog, but if you want to start from scratch, if you want to start from clean slate, you can go to UnifyJS npm page and you can copy this one. I would strongly suggest that you copy this one instead of the one that I recommended, and there is a package called Rehype document and Rehype format as well. So you can use the Rehype document and Rehype format as well, but let me remove this and we'll see what happens if we don't use these two packages. There is something called Rehype highlight also, but again, if we need anything, we'll install the plugin for the same. Okay, so we have this dot process which takes the markdown as the argument. Okay. But now since I have this Remark parse front matter, I'm already using the gray matter package. I don't want to use this. So what I'll do is I will import matter from gray matter. Import matter from gray matter, from gray matter. I hope I'm doing things right. I think I haven't yet installed gray matter, so I'll have to do pnpm I gray matter. Oops, I need to type gray matter, and the moment I do that, it should install gray matter and I should be able to import matter. Now if I say result is equal to await, in fact I don't even have to use await. I can say result is equal to unified, and then I'll use all these plugins, and then I'll say dot process, and this needs await. The dot process needs await. So what we'll do is we'll remove this process part, and I'll show you what we'll do. We'll actually read this directory. So the directory is called content. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's say const file path is equal to, and let's use string literal, and I'll say content slash, I'll use dollar, I'll say params dot slug, and I'll say dot md. Now what is params dot slug? I'll have to take it from here, and this thing needs to be inside my component. So let me move this thing inside my component. Okay. I think I forgot to copy this. Control X, Control V, and yes. So we have got params.slug. So we are basically reading this file. Now what I'll do is I'll say const, and I'll say file content is equal to, I'll use the fs package. Fs is a package for import fs from fs, if I'm not wrong. Yes, import fs from fs, and this will import the file system package. Now what I'll do is I'll read the directory. I'll say file content is equal to, firstly I'll read the file. I'll say fs dot read file sync, and read file sync will help me read the file. File path utf-8. Now you don't have to remember this. If you want, you can go and Google and copy the code from there, but I happen to remember all this because I do it very frequently. But again, if you don't, then you can just go and copy from the internet. Now I'll use matter. Now const data content, I also happen to remember this, but you don't have to remember, and I'll have to ensure that it is correct. Yeah, so when you say matter file content, I'll show you where this is coming from. So if you go to the gray matter package homepage, you'll see that you can use it by importing matter from gray matter, and then if you do matter, it gives you content and data inside of an object. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling out the content and the data which has a title. So I'm saying data content is equal to matter file content. So I'll get data and I'll get content. Okay. Now that I have content, I can create HTML content on my own. So I don't have to do this. I can say HTML content is equal to, and I'll say await process. Wait, I'll have to store this thing in a variable called process. So processor, let me say processor is equal to this, and then I'll say processor dot process. You can even name it title or whatever you want. Okay, processor, what am I doing? Processor. Okay, processor dot process, and after I do that, I'll say content, and then after I have awaited this, so I'll await this, and then I'll say dot to string, and which is why I'm using these parentheses. Okay, because I want to await this first, and then I want to convert it to toString. I'll have to make this function async. So let's make this function async. I hope my screen is visible. Hopefully my screen is very clearly visible. Yes, it is. Okay, so we have data, we have content, and now we have also used this processor, which is giving us HTML content. And now let's do this. Let's print the HTML content on the page and let's see how it works. So let me refresh this page. So we have blog post, mastering React components, and I'm not sure why it's not working. I think I'm not running the dev server. pnpm run dev, and yeah, it should work now. Let's wait for the server to start, and once the server is started, we should be able to see the blog rendering. Okay, so we have got some problem here. It says no such file or directory. It's saying there is no file or directory called content. Let me check if there is a file or directory called content. I have made this content directory, not sure what the problem is. content. I've said file path is equal to content, params.slug.md. It should work, but I'm not sure why it's not working. It says that you don't have a content directory, which is very weird. Inside the awesome PWH blog, I do have this content directory. I think I don't have this file. Yeah, I don't have this file. So I'll have to say JS tutorial, and then we'll also make sure that we are throwing the 404 error if this file doesn't exist. So JS tutorial, and yeah, it works. But the problem is that this title and this content is not rendered correctly. So it is not looking good. Yeah, it's not looking good for sure. And we are getting all of this title, slug, it doesn't look good at all. And then we have this content, no, doesn't look good at all. So we'll have to fix it. So when I say title here, I need to get the title from the data. So I'll say data.title. And at the same time, I want to make sure that after I get the title, I am also parsing the content correctly. So let me go to the gray matter package. Yeah, data.title is good. And then I'll have to say HTML content is equal to this, and it seems that the content is also an object. I'll have to see what I'm doing here. So we have all of these title, slug, and content rendering. So we'll have to check what the problem is. Okay, now I see where the error is coming from. We have an extra space here which should not be there, and as you can see that this markdown is highlighting this front matter. So if I come back to this file And if I remove this params.slug and I have added data.title here, and then we have this dangerously set inner HTML here, I think this should work. And let's see if this is rendering. Yes, it's rendering just fine. But the problem is that Tailwind CSS is not styled by default. How do we solve for this problem? There is a very easy solution to this problem, and the solution is Tailwind Typography. So if you have never heard of Tailwind Typography, let me tell you what it is. So Tailwind HTML is not styled by default. If you want to style Tailwind by some basic CSS, then you will have to let me show you how it works. So if you install this, and if you want default styles, then you can use Tailwind Typography. It is nothing but some default styles that your Tailwind CSS classes will get. So the thing is, Tailwind CSS will reset styles for h1, h2, div, span. This will give those default styles back. In fact, not the default styles, but better than default styles. I'll show you. So we have just installed Tailwind Typography. Let me come back to this page and choosing a grayscale. Let's do one thing. Let's add this to plugins. So if I add this to my tailwind.conf.ts and I'll search for the plugin section. Okay, so here is the plugin section, and I'll say plugins require Tailwind Typography, and then we'll need the comma as well. I hope the syntax is correct. Yes, it is. And let's restart the server as well. It's always a good idea to restart the server once we have installed a plugin. And also it is showing some error. So I have already installed gray matter, but it still shows the error. If you don't know why this error is coming, you can simply come to your command palette and restart the TypeScript server and it should go. Okay, let's see if it is working. And if I refresh this page, I'm refreshing this page, and still we have not got any default style. So in order to get those default styles, you will have to add a class, and the name of that class is pros, P-R-O-S-E. So if I add class name is equal to pros, and then for dark I want to add pros invert, pros dash invert, you will see that it is styled by default. How cool it is looking. Can you see? Yeah, it's looking amazing. I love how it looks. And then we already have the title, so we'll have to remove the title from our Markdown. We don't want this title because we already have the title. Okay, so as you can see that we already have the title, we have removed the title from here. And JavaScript tutorial table of content, we'll have to do one thing, and the thing is we will have to remove the styles from our h1. So instead of saying text to Excel, we'll simply say h1, and this should work. And we'll also update the page title. You can do that. Okay, you can update the page title as well. All right, nice. This looks pretty good. What's next? So next thing that we'll do is we'll create an on this page component. Now what is this on this page component? Let's create a component inside our components folder, and let's name this component as on this page, on this page .tsx RAFCE, and this component will simply help us get this on this page on our page. Okay, awesome. So what we'll do is we'll create this as a client component first of all. So we'll say use client, and then we'll also import use effect and use state because we are going to use state, and also we'll get HTML string as props. So we'll say HTML content, and then we'll give it an interface HTML content is string, so that we can get rid of the TypeScript error. Now we'll use state snippet, and we'll say that we'll have a state called links. So we have links, set links is equal to use state. Okay, and I think we can simply say use state. Now I'll also create a new interface for links. So I'll say interface link, and then I'll say link type. Let me call this interface as link type, and I'll say ID can be string, and then text can be string, and the type of this links can be null, or we can have link type, the array of link type, I hope this works, and then we'll say null. So what this is basically saying is that the type of, let me give it a type, and then we'll say null. So I'm saying this links can either be null or an array of link type. Okay, and then we are initializing it with null. Okay, I hope this is clear. And then we are going to use effect snippet, and we are going to use this use effect like this. Okay, so it will run only on first render, and then we'll say const temp is equal to document dot create element. So I'll create a raw element and I'll name it as div, and then I'll say temp dot inner HTML is equal to, and I'll say HTML content. And what is this HTML content? We are getting this HTML content from here. So if I use this on this page component, I'll use it such that I'm giving it HTML content. Okay, is equal to HTML content, and we have this HTML content on this component. Okay, so far so good. So far everything is clear. Yes, it is. Now we'll create headings. So what I'll do is I'll extract out headings from this temp, and I'll say I want to use query selector all, and I want to get all the h2s and h3s. I don't want to get h1 because there is only one h1. I want to get h2s and h3s, and if you want to get h4s also, that should also be fine. And I think I'm making some mistake. h2 comma h3. I think this should work, and if it doesn't work, we'll change this. Okay, so let me mark this because I'm not sure if this will work or not. This should work. Okay, but we'll get back to it if it doesn't work. Then we'll say generated links, which is of type link type array. Now generated links is equal to blank. Okay, generated link is blank, and now we'll say headings dot for each. See what I'm doing here. I'll say heading index and then an arrow function, and then I'll say const id is equal to heading dot id, or it can be heading dot id. If heading dot id is not present, we'll have to give it some id. We'll give it id on our own. Heading dash dollar, and we can use index. Okay, it's a dirty way of giving id to an element which doesn't have an id, but again I'll say heading dash dollar index. Then I'll say heading dot id is equal to id, and then we are basically ensuring that each link has an id here. Okay, now what we'll do is I'll say generated link dot push, generated links dot push, and I want to push id and I want to push text, and I'll say heading dot inner text. Okay, heading dot inner text, and okay, so I made some mistake here. I'll say id heading dot inner text, and I'm getting some errors here. I'll see what the problem is. So I want to push id and text. Okay, id and text should be heading dot inner text. Okay, now it says that cannot find name heading. Do you mean headings? Heading dot for each. Okay, so this should be inside of this. So we have this for each, and everything should be inside for each. So generated links dot push id and then text. So the problem that we are facing here is a TypeScript error. So basically what happens is that heading is of type string. It's of type element. Okay, it's of type element, and element doesn't have inner text. So let's do one thing. Let's say heading as HTML element, and this should fix the error. Yes, it fixes the error. And now we are going to say set links after this for loop has finished, and I'll say set links generated links, and then I want to make sure that whenever HTML content changes, whenever it changes, this use effect should run again. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll simply return this on this page component. So we'll have to write some CSS now. So we have a div and we'll say class name is equal to, and we don't want it on phones, so I'll say hidden, and then whenever we get to MD I'll say block, and then I'll see how we can style it. Let's make it sticky. Let's make it sticky, and we'll give it some padding as well, but let's give it a heading at this point on this page. We can style it for sure, and let's say UL, and let's say links and links dot map. Now what is links? Links is basically the state that we have created. Okay, so we'll say links and links dot map. We want to display all the links here, and say link, and let's use li, and we'll have to use a key as well because otherwise it will throw an error. So I'll say key is equal to, and I'll say link.id, because now all the links have an ID. We have already given links an ID. And then we can say a href is equal to href is equal to, and let's use JavaScript here because I want to use template literal, and then we'll say hash, and then we'll say link.id. I hope this works. I hope this will work. And then I'll add link.text, and I'm not sure why we are getting this error. So we are saying links and links.map, and we are giving it link, and then we are saying li key is equal to this. There has to be some issue here. Is not assignable to type React node. Okay, so we'll have to return this, return, and yeah, it works. We'll have to return this. So now what happens is we are getting all the links and it should be displayed somewhere, but it is not displaying it anywhere. Not sure why this happens, but again, this should have been displayed somewhere. So we have class name is equal to hidden here, then MD block, class is equal to sticky. Maybe we are, let me refresh this page first and we should be able to see something. Okay, so we have this on this page here, and I want this on this page to go from here to somewhere here. Okay, let's see if this works. So if I click on functions, we are not getting anything. Headings 3, this is headings 2, this is headings 1, table of content, intro to JavaScript. Okay, so it doesn't go anywhere. The thing is that it doesn't work. And for this, we'll have to use a Rehype headings. There is a plugin for Rehype auto link headings. Okay, so this is called Rehype auto link headings. What this basically does is this will link all the headings that is present in your page. Okay, all right, so let's install this. So we'll say pnpm install this. So let's say pnpm install Rehype auto link headings, and the moment I install this, it has been installed, and we'll have to use it as a plugin. How do we use it? All we need to do is say .use Rehype auto link headings, and it should work. And we'll say .use Rehype auto link headings, and we'll import this. So we'll hover over it and we'll say add the import. It will add the import. And now let's check if this is working or not. So is it working? Let's check the documentation page. Okay, so they are using Rehype Slug as well. I think we'll have to use Rehype Slug as well for this to work. And let's import Rehype Slug, and we haven't yet installed Rehype Slug, so we'll have to install it. Once again, pnpm install Rehype Slug, and this will install Rehype Slug. Yes, it did. And let's come back to our page and see if this works. Let's see if this works. It doesn't work. I think we have not used it, so we'll have to use it. .use Rehype Slug, and yeah, this should work now. Okay, so the thing is that this on this page is working now, as you can see. So if I click on asynchronous JavaScript, it is scrolling, but it's scrolling such that the heading is being covered by this navbar. So we'll have to fix this. And how do we fix it? We'll simply add scroll padding. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. Scroll padding, yeah, it's called scroll padding if I'm not wrong. I'll have to go to my page app folder, and inside app I'll go to layout.tsx, and inside HTML I'll add a class name, and I'll say scroll padding 14. Let's see if this works. If I refresh this and if I go to control structures, yeah, I'll have to give little bit more scroll padding, little bit more. So let's do 19 if it's there. It's 16 is there. Let's see if 21 is there. I'm pressing control space bar when I don't get any suggestions, because if you press control space bar, it triggers the drop down. Okay, so let's see if this works now. If I refresh, okay, so I'm refreshing and I'm clicking objects and array. It doesn't work. Okay, so not px, scroll padding, scroll p20. Let's see if this works now. Functions, yeah, it works now. Now another thing that I can add is scroll smooth. Yeah, scroll smooth is the class, and it adds scroll behavior smooth. Now what will happen is the moment you click here, it will automatically scroll you like this, which looks very good. It looks very pretty, nice and good. So the thing is now that I want to divide this part into two separate columns such that this covers say 1/3 and this on this page should cover 2/3. So I'll have to come back to my page.tsx. I'll have to give correct position to this on this page component. Okay, how do we do that? Let's see how we can do that. Firstly, I'll remove this max. Okay, let's not remove this max width wrapper. Let's put a div, and I'll say class is equal to flex. Class is equal to flex, and then we have this heading, and then we have this. So we'll wrap the heading and this div into one div. So we have this div and this on this page inside a flex box. Let's refresh and see if on this page is coming here. Yes, it is coming here. But the problem is I want to make it little smaller, and I want to give some padding towards left and right. So let's see how we can do that. I think in order to make this function, I'll have to give some padding to my initial div. So let's say class name is equal to px16, and let's see if this maintains some space. Yes, it does. And also I want to decrease the font size of this on this page. And how can I do that? I can always do that by simply giving it a class name. So I'll say class name is equal to and let's give it a text sm, and I'll have to add class name to this component. So I'll say HTML content class name, and class name should be a string. Class name is a string, and class name should be given to this div. So I'll use cn. I'll say cn. Let me say Control X, and then I'll say cn. Cn is imported, and then I'll paste this and class name. So whatever class I give here will be overridden inside this div. Okay, let's wait and let's see if this is the size of this has reduced or not. Yes, it has. And I want to get rid of Tailwind typography. Let me check how do we get rid of Tailwind typography. So if you want some components of your page to not use Tailwind typography, you can use not pros class. So if I add a not pros class here, not pros, it should remove the pros class from here. As you can see, all the pros classes have been removed, but I don't have to essentially remove pros classes from here. I can also do this from here. So I can say remove it from this UL. So let's say class name is equal to remove not pros, and let's see how it looks. It looks just fine. I think it looks pretty good. Table of content. I want to add some padding top PT4 maybe. Let's see how it look. PT4 is too much. I think PT1 should be good. Yeah, PT1 is good enough. Variables and data types. On this page we have this. Yeah, it looks good. It looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have to solve for a lot of problems. The first problem is that if we scroll, this is happening and we don't want this to happen. So if I show you this on this page component, we have added a class sticky. I want to add a top 6 to this such that it has some padding top, but I think I'll have to add top 16, and yeah, top 16 looks good, but I think it's a good idea to increase this number as well. Yeah, this is fine. This looks fine. And also I want to make sure that the width of this particular box is good enough. So if I say width, so we have this div and we have another on this page. If I give it a width of 2 by 3, let me see if width of 2 by 3 works. I think 2 by 3 is too much. Let's see if I can give it width of 2 by 6. Yeah, 2 by 6 looks fine, but I think I can do better. 2 by 6 is 1 by 3. I think I'll have to try something else. 5 by 6. No, I think 1 by 2 will be too much. 5 by 6. If I give it a width of 20%, if I give it a width of 20%, yeah, it looks pretty good. Now it looks pretty good. So you'll have to experiment if you are creating your own design. You should be able to change the classes, and you should be able to try out different things, and something will work, something will make it look good. Now the Rehype Prettyfy, it's called Rehype Prettyfy if I'm not wrong. Prettycode, it's called Rehype Prettycode. Let's install this magical extension, this Rehype plugin. Rehype Prettycode installation is here, and I want to install it using pnpm. And yeah, the good part is coming. I love this extension, and it's installing Shiki as well. So let's install both the things, and let's see how we can use it. So all you need to do is you need to add this use Rehype Prettycode, and you can give theme as well. So I'll show you how to give theme, because I love using themes. All you need to do is pass it an option to add the GitHub theme or any theme. So let's first use it. So I'll import it first, and then I'll use it. So I'll say import Rehype Prettycode. Rehype Prettycode, it's not giving me the suggestion to import it, but I think I should be able to import it. Is it installed? Yes, it is installed, but I'm not able to import it. Rehype Prettycode from, so let me do imd Rehype Prettycode, Rehype Prettycode. Okay, this should work. Okay, so I have imported Rehype Prettycode from Rehype Prettycode, and I'll say .use Rehype Prettycode, and you can also use options. So you can say comma, and you can give an object, and we can apply a theme here. So I'll say theme can be material theme darker, material theme ocean. Let's do material theme ocean, and let's see if this works. Yeah, it works. It looks pretty damn cool. Can you see it highlights my syntax like anything? I love this, and this makes my blog look very professional. Let's see if this is responsive, because I've not checked for responsiveness in a while. So let's see if this is responsive. This is responsive, it seems. Yeah, it is responsive. But the problem is for MD, this on this page looks a little weird. So let me see if I can convert this to 100%. And also let's see if this dark theme is working. Yeah, dark theme is also working. Wow, it looks so good. It looks so good. Nice. We'll fix this, but let's see if the headings are working. Yeah, headings are also working. So I'll do one thing. I'll add some more blogs, and I think that should be able to make it look even better. But again, this is looking pretty clean, pretty good. And we'll now add the copy button, and after that we'll move to other stuff. So in order to add the copy button, you simply have to go to this copy button part, and I think all you need to do is copy this part of the code, copy button, yeah, and add transformers as the option. So inside the options, Where is my Rehype Prettycode? Rehype Prettycode, yeah, it's here. So inside the options, you need to add the transformers like this. Oops, something is wrong. Yeah, something is wrong. Let me check what is wrong. Let me do Control Z. Okay, so this is the options, and inside the options, I'll have to use transformers. Yeah, transformer copy button. Okay, so let's import transformer copy button. We'll have to install it, I guess. How do we import transformer copy button? Okay, so you'll have to install this Rehype Pretty transformers. Let's install this. npm install Rehype Pretty /transformers. And yes, we'll import it now. Quick fix, add missing. Nope, not like this. Let's import it. So we'll say import transformer copy button. Let me copy paste it from here. I should not bother to type it and guess it again and again. Let's paste it and let's see if it works. Let's hope for it to work now. Yeah, it works. Let's see if it is copying the code or not. Yeah, it's copying the code. Amazing. Amazing. So Control N, and yeah, it's copying the code. I love it. Copy, Control V to paste. And now I'll show you how we can add some more blocks. So all you need to do now is you can simply go to your content and add more Markdown. So I'll say generate Markdown content or files for my blog in this format. So I'll give it the format. This is the format, and I'll say, hey, you have to, let me remove this content thing. You have to simply generate some content for me in this format, and I'll say, are you ready? Are you ready? It will say, yes, I'm ready. Give me the titles. Generate for ultimate Python tutorial. Let's see if it gets it correct. Oh yeah, it does. Let's wait for the generation. And you know, it really generates it very well. And sometimes it's so useful that I read my own AI generated blogs. Yeah, because it is trained on the data of all the blogs on the internet, and it knows, the GPT-4o model knows what is best. And it gives pretty damn amazing content. Let's wait for it and then I'll be back. I'm waiting for its generation. Let's see if we can create the file in the meantime. So this will be our file name. Let me create the file in the meantime, .md, and then I'll also go to this file. As you can see that this file is empty at this point, and we just see on this page. We'll fix this as well. It should throw a 404 error, which it's not throwing at this point. But let's copy the content. Let's copy the content and let's paste it here. And now it should be able to load it. Why are we seeing the title twice? Because we have it in the Markdown as well. We don't want to see the title in the Markdown. All right, so it should work now. On this page, introduction to Python, setting up the Python environment. Okay, so this on this page looks little off. We'll have to fix this. This looks little off. We'll have to fix this because this is a big one. This is a large, huge blog. Okay, let me see how I can fix this. So in order to fix this, I should fix this display flex, and this should take the entire width. So why am I giving it width of 20% when I can give it a width of, say, 50%? Why am I giving it width of 30% when I can give it width of 50%? Let me give it width of 50%, and let's see if this serves the purpose. Width 50%, and let's see if this serves the purpose. It should serve the purpose. Table of content, and then we have introduction to Python, then we have setting up Python, we have everything. And how about we just take few characters from the title? We can do that as well. So let's take only 10 characters from the title. We can do that, but let's see how it's going to look. Let's do link.text.slice and we'll do 0 to 50. And if the length is greater than 50, if we say if link.text.length is greater than 50, then we want to show triple dot. Otherwise we don't want to show anything. And let's see what the problem here is. Okay, so the problem is I'll have to put a question mark here. Okay, and let's see if it works. Yeah, it does. So it's a huge blog, which is why it's showing so many headings, but that should be fine. And I can also add text XS like this to make it extra smaller. So yeah, it is extra small now, and it looks good also, as you can see. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So we have provide examples and explanations. So I don't know why it has not provided the examples and explanations. It should actually generate the content for me, but that should be fine. You can do it on your own. So yeah, our blog is looking pretty good at this point. I really love how it looks, but the challenge now is that we have to populate this page where we want to be able to go to all the blogs. So in order to populate this page, we'll read the directory content and we'll get all the content here. Now, before I do all this, I want to show you something. I'll tell ChatGPT to write this again with full complete content. Keep the headings short and keep the headings short and without numbering. Okay, and let me fix this. And I'll show you why I have done this. I'll show you an example. If you see the Shadcn UI example, you'll see that they have kept these headings intentionally very short so that people can see this on this page very clearly. So they have kept the headings really very small intentionally so that the page renders just fine. And as you can see, the label, installation, usage, everything is intentionally made short such that you can see this on the page, on this page very clearly. So let's do one thing. Let's do the same thing for our Python blog as well. And as you can see that this is generating content for me, and it has leaked the content out of this box. I don't know why. It's some ChatGPT bug or something, but I think I should be able to fix this. Let it finish first and I'll show you how we can fix it. Okay, so as you can see that it has generated something. Let me copy this and let me see if I can copy this to my ultimate Python tutorial. So all I need is the Markdown. Okay, and it's for some reason not working. The ChatGPT thing is not working for some reason. I don't know why, but let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah, I think this should be able to parse it. Yeah, so it's done. As you can see, the headings are intentionally made small. This is a really huge blog with a lot of headings. So you can also choose to show only some of the headings. I can also choose to show only H2s, if not all. So I'll say, don't show H3s, just show me H2s. It is still very long, but again, you can do that. Okay, it is shortened. And as you can see, error handling, we have functions, we have advanced Python, we have extended libraries. And yeah, this blog looks pretty clean. If you see this in the light mode, it looks like this. You can also change the theme. You can change the theme to GitHub Dark or something. I don't remember. It's called GitHub Dark. Yeah, GitHub Dark. It looks good as well. So you can choose your theme. It's up to you. The copy button works. Amazing stuff. Okay, let's make this button work, and we are going to now work on the home page. So in order to make this button work, I'll have to go to Navbar. And inside the Navbar, I'll have to add a link. So I'll say link, and let me say href is equal to /. And let's do this. So this works now, and we'll work on this page now. I'll tell you something and I'll show you something. So I'll say Next.js dashboard templates. And this is something that not a lot of people use, but they should be using in my opinion. And I'll show you why. So there are a lot of themes available online. Let me take this for instance. Let me go to this website, creativetim.com, and I will have to check whether this is written using Tailwind or not. And any website which is written using Tailwind CSS, you should be able to copy it as is. So let me check if it is written using Tailwind CSS. I think it has some custom CSS, but again, if you want to copy some website as is, you can do that if it is written using Tailwind. I'll show you an example. So I'm using this page as demonstration. All you need to do is go to inspect and copy this part of the code as is. So I'm copying this section. I'll say copy element and I'll paste this section inside the main tag. Okay. And obviously I'll have to replace class is equal to by class name is equal to. So I'll say, let me say change all occurrences and I'll say class name is equal to this and required is equal to, I'll say true, required is equal to true. And what else is showing error? Okay, so I'll have to fix this. You can always fix this using AI as well, format document. But again, I'm not using AI at this point. I want to manually fix it. Any more error? Yeah, we have an error for image. Any further error? Okay, I don't see any further error here. Yeah, it's red, still red. I can't see the error. Okay, so we have an error on this input tag. So input tag needs to be closed like this. Any further errors? Okay, so I'll have to very carefully fix this. So we have input. Yeah. Button type is equal to submit. Last name is equal to, I think I made some mistake. I'll have to fix it. Okay, now I can do something like this and it should work. Okay, yeah, it works now. Let's see. Okay, so we have successfully copied dark mode, light mode, everything works, and you can always add more below this. You can use the same website to copy, but again, you should be able to do it from other websites. There is a website for this actually. It's called tailblocks.cc and I'll show you how it works. You can copy this. So you can say view code, copy to clipboard, and we can add another section. And I should be able to paste this. And again, class is equal to needs to be replaced with class name is equal to and then it looks like this, as you can see. So yeah, it is looking good, and obviously this is not perfect, but again, you'll have to change a lot of things. If you want images, you can add images as well, but I just want to show you how you can build the website. Dark theme looks like this. I'll change the color of this. It doesn't look good. So in order to make the dark theme work, we will change the BG gray 100. So let's copy this. Let's change all occurrences and we'll add a class and we'll say dark BG gray 900. Let's see if this works. So instead of BG gray 100, or maybe we can say BG white. If not BG gray 900, we'll say BG white. And yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine. Okay, so we can see the light theme looks like this and the dark theme looks like this. You can always change the design. You can play around. You can do it on your own. Okay, and we can also change the color of this on dark mode, because this kind of doesn't look good in dark mode. So you can do all those things. You can always go to the search box. I'll show you how to do this. Where is the search box? I think I'll have to go to the input component. Input. Where is the input? Input is not here. I think, yeah, input is here. Yes, it is. It's here. Type is equal to search, and I'll have to say whenever the dark theme is active, make BG as black. I'll just try this out. So if I say dark mode, BG is black, and not just black, let's make it gray 800. Gray 800. Yeah, it looks good now. Let's see. Light mode looks like this. Dark mode looks like this. Yeah, it looks fine. And you can always add your text here. It will look good. Okay, nice. So let's add some Shadcn FAQs now. Let's add some Shadcn FAQs now, and before this section I want to make sure that I add a heading to this section. I'll remove this extra section closing tag. Before this section I'll add a heading, and I'll say about our services, and you can always add class name of pros and dark pros invert, and about our services looks like this. It doesn't look good, at all. So we'll have to move this inside the container. Yeah, and pros doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why pros is not working, but pros is actually giving it a max width. So let's do text to Excel, and this should work. PY4 font bold. Yeah, it looks good now. And I think text gray 600 is not looking good, so let me add text primary here. Yeah, it looks good now. And light theme like this and dark theme like this. Yeah, it looks fine. And I think I can change it to text 4XL. It will look even better. Yeah, it looks even better. And if I center it, I think it will look even better. So it takes time to make something look good, obviously. PY8 so that we have some more space. In fact, let's make it PB8 so that we have some padding at the bottom of this. Padding bottom and MB4. And let's see how it looks on phone. It should look good on phone as well. So this looks like this on mobile phones. Yeah, it looks good. I'm satisfied. It looks pretty good. And yeah, we'll have to change this as well. So we'll do that. But before that, let's see if this is working fine or not. So the Z index is not working for this one. I think we'll have to fix the Z index. And we can fix this by adding Z10 to a navbar. So I came to navbar.tsx and I've added this Z-10 here. And yes, it fixes it. It looks really cool. It looks really good. If I scroll down, it looks like this. If I go to blog, this looks like this. If I go to about, we have not yet made the about page, but it looks good as well. You can always work on the about page. And then if we go to a blog post, it looks something like this. So now let's do one thing. I'm going to build the about page, and I'm going to build the contact page, and then we'll go after this blog page. Okay, so let's build this about page and contact page. I'm going to quickly build it using Tailwind CSS, and you can then grab a copy of about page as well as contact page from the description. I'll code it for you, and then you can simply grab a copy of it just to save some time, because this is not a design course. Just like we designed the home page, I will design the about and contact page as well. Now let's design this blog page. This is not dynamic, so we'll have to make it dynamic. If I go to blog and page.tsx, I should read all these blogs from the directory. So let's write code for this. So what I want is, I want to be able to read the content directory such that all these blogs are read. And whenever I place a .md file here, the .md file should be read. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's start by writing some code. So what I'm going to do now is, I'll say const file content is equal to, or dir content. So I'll say const dir content is equal to, and I'll say fs.read dir sync. Let me import fs first. So let's import fs from fs. Yes, this should work. And there is a function is in fs called read dir sync, which synchronously read your directory content, and utf8, and you can get this code from either ChatGPT or from internet. Okay, and let's see if I'm able to read the directory content. So let's do file content, sorry, dir content, and let's see if I'm able to get the dir content here. Yeah, I'm able to get the dir content here. So if I refresh this page, you'll see the dir content is here, which is cool. Okay, so we have this dir content here. So it runs server side, which is amazing. Now I'll say const blocks is equal to dir content dot map, and I am going to take all the files and I'll say file content is equal to read file sync, fs.read file sync, and I'll use content slash, and let's use the template literal file. And you know what I'm doing. If you know Node.js, you know what I'm doing, right? Basically, I'm reading the file content. I'm reading the content of the file and I'm extracting data out of this file content, and I'll have to import matter. So I'll hover over it, quick fix, add import from gray matter. It automatically does that. And let's see what else we need. So we'll say return data because we want to assign data to the block. Okay, so we want to say dir content.map, and for all the elements in dir content I want to extract out data. So let me show you how the blog is going to look like. So if I say console.log blogs, you'll see all the blogs here. Let me show you. So this is how the blogs is going to look like. Let me scroll down. This is how the blogs is going to look like. So I have the title, I have the slug, I have the description, but I don't have the content because I don't want the content. So let's now go to the page and let's see if this page is rendering using these blocks. No, it's not rendering using the blocks. It's actually rendering using the sample data which we have. So I will have to remove all this sample data. So instead of saying sample blocks, I should say blocks. So I'll say blocks.map instead of saying sample data.map. Let me remove this sample data because I don't need this sample blocks. Okay, so we get this JavaScript tutorial and Python tutorial, which is great. But I'm getting some issue here and it says that argument of type blog. Okay, so I guess that the type is not matching. Okay, and the type should match, which is why we use TypeScript, right? Slug is there, content is there, title is there. Let me see what is not there so that we can fix it. Title, slug, and description is there. Content is not there. We don't need the content because we actually want to just get the metadata. We don't want the content. So let me remove the content from block type. And the description is the image URL is optional. And this should actually remove this error. Let me return this. I think I'm not returning, which is why it's throwing the error. No, this is not the problem. I'm already using this parenthesis, so it automatically returns. It says that argument of type blog is not assignable to parameter of type value. So in order to fix this, I will have to tell that this blocks is of block type, and also it is of block type array. And as you can see that the error is gone, but again we have another error which says type is not assignable to block type. Okay, so I see what it's saying. So it's complaining about the fact that whatever we are returning is not of block type. So we'll have to say const data, const data is of type block type. Okay, and then when we are returning the data, it should be block type. So the data is coming from matter, and this is actually array of string if I'm not wrong. The data is a string. Okay, so we'll have to typecast it such that the data is a string. So we'll say const value which is of block type is equal to, and we will have to it says is declared but never read. We'll fix this. Value, and our block type has slug, title, and description, and we don't want image URL. So slug, title, description. Slug is data.slug, title is data.title, and description is data.description. Okay, and instead of these semicolons I should be using commas. Okay, yeah, I think this should fix it, and yeah, it is fixed. So let's refresh the page and we can see that we have all these blocks. Now we can open these blocks. The moment I click on read more, I am directed to this page, and all these headings just work. Now once again, if I come to the blog page, I can see that I can go to any of these pages. Not sure why these are so slow, but I think I should be using the link tag, which I'm not using. I'm using a tag. I should be using the link tag from next link. So let's use link tag, and I'll have to import the link tag. So I'll hover over it, quick fix, and import link from next link. And yeah, it should be faster now. The moment I click, it's loading just as fast as it can. And let's also install React top loading bar. I'll show you what it is. So this React top loading bar basically helps you get a very fancy top loading bar, which actually looks good. In my opinion, it looks very good. Oops, I should be using pnpm. And yeah, it is actually installing. Let me update my pnpm as well. So it says run this to update. I will update my pnpm because it is awesome. It works really fast. All right, so I think we are good. Let's use this top loading bar. Now I'll show you how to use this top loading bar. So you just have to import loading bar from top loading bar, and we are going to use it with state. So we are going to come to layout.tsx. I keep forgetting the file names, I don't know why. And let's put the loading bar somewhere here. I have to use state, which is why I will be creating a new component, but I think I can just put it inside the navbar. Yeah, I can. So let's open the navbar, and we can make a navbar as a client component. Use client, and let's copy this code. So we have this top loading bar, and I want to be able to show this bar. So let's copy this loading bar. So I'll say loading bar, and I don't want any fancy loading bar. I just want it to just work, and I'll have to make the states as well. So let me copy this, and I'll have to import use state as well. So we'll have to import use state from React. Yeah, I think we should be able to see the loading bar, but the thing is that if we change the state, then only we are going to see the loading bar. So format document. So the very easiest hack is to use effect, and inside use effect, what you do is you just say that after some time this loading bar should just load. Okay, or you can even use next navigation. So let us explore next navigation. And let's open this page. Next navigation. I want to use these params, path name, sorry, not params. I want to use this path name. Yeah, I'll tell you why I'm doing this, but let's import use path name from next navigation, and I'll say const path name is equal to path name is equal to path name is equal to use path name, and I should be able to get the path name. So this gets me the path name, and whenever the page changes, the path name changes, and when the path name changes, I should be able to change the progress. So I'll say set progress to 30% first, and then change it to 100%. And I should be able to change the progress to 100% only after some time, say after 100 milliseconds. Okay, and I'll explain why I've done that. I think it's very self-explanatory. First, I want the progress to go from 0 to 30, and then after some time I want it to go from 30 to 100, so that it gives me a feeling that the page is loading through the top loading bar. Okay, cool. And also, whenever a page loads, I should be able to reset the progress to 0. So whenever a page loads, the progress should be 0, and only then when I navigate to some other page, I'll get this progress 30 and progress 100. And I think this should work, but let's try this out and I'll show you it should work. Okay, so I have this page. Let's refresh this page. So as you can see, it went from 30 to 100, and now if I go from this page to blog, okay, so we are not getting the loading bar. I'll have to check why we are not getting the loading bar. We should be getting the loading bar, by the way. We are not getting any loading bar. Okay, so the thing is that whenever this page loads, I'm changing the progress to 0, and after that I'm changing the progress to 30 and then to 100. Okay, so I should be able to do this whenever path name changes. So whenever path name changes, we'll do this, and we'll do this whenever page loads. Okay, now this should work for sure. Now if I go to home page, we get this loading bar. If I go to, and I think I can increase this time to suit my preferences. So if I go to blog, yeah, it looks good. And if I change this to say 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second, it will look like this. Okay. And if you want even more steps, you can do something like this. So you can say that, oops, I actually made a mistake. So I'll say it'll go from 30 to 70 and I should change this. I'm so sorry. I should change this and not this. Okay. This is the progress. This goes from 0 to 100. Don't want to confuse you guys. So let's do this. So in 100 milliseconds, I want it to go from 30 to 70. And then in say 800 milliseconds, I want it to go from 70 to 100. Okay, let's see how this works. Yeah, this is looking better. I think this is even better. Yeah, this is looking better. I really like this one. Yeah, this is looking good. And then also I want to change this. I want to change this from 800 to 900 because only after all this has done, I want to reset the progress to 0. And I think this should work now. So if I go to about, yeah, this is looking amazing. You can see it looks really good. It looks really good. It looks like the page is loading, which is what we want. Yeah, page is loading smoothly. It loads smoothly. The only thing is I want to change the color to purple. So let's change this color to purple. And can I pick the color? I think I cannot. So how do I pick the color? I want to pick the color. So let's go to inspect and let me see if I can get a color picker somewhere. Yeah, I can get a color picker here. I want to be able to pick this color. So let me use this and let's use this color. And I want to copy the hex code of the color. Oops. Did I not copy the hex code or what? Where is the, okay, so you have to click here and then you have to use this. And then once you have this, you can copy by clicking here. Now it is copied and let's paste it. And yeah, now if I refresh the page, just to be sure that it is working, let's click on about. Yeah, did you see the top loading bar? It's looking fantastic. It's looking fantastic. Now let's go to blog. JavaScript tutorial, amazing. We can copy the code. All the types are here. We have used Tailwind Typography. The only thing that we want to do now is change the title. So I'll show you how to change the title using metadata. So let's search this documentation for metadata. And Next.js has a metadata API and we are using app router. Make sure that you are using app router, not pages router. And you can export this metadata. I'll show you how to do this. So you can do something like this. So let's go to blog, page.tsx, and I can export metadata from here. I can export like this. And let's import metadata from Next. Okay. So I'll say blogs, programming with Harry. Let's go for description. Let's go to ChatGPT. We have ChatGPT to our rescue. Write description for a coding blog. Okay, it will write it automatically. Okay, so I think I should be able to copy this and paste it. I was actually expecting it to complete. It didn't, but it's fine. I think a better prompt would have worked. All right, let's see if it is even changing. If I go to blogs, yeah, it is changing. Title is changing and the meta description is also changing. I'll show you. Programming with Harry, and as you can see that we have this meta description tag, a comprehensive blog for coders of all levels. Nice, nice. So the thing is that Google algorithm is based off the fact that if you are actually serious about your blog and if you actually provide value, then only your website will rank. And if you are serious about your blog, you should have all the titles and meta descriptions at place. Okay. Let's go to blog now, and I should be able to get the title here as well. So I'll show you how we can do that. And all I'm doing is using the I'm using the documentation of Next.js. I'm not doing anything new, which even you guys can do. And we are going to now use generate metadata function, and this generate metadata function will generate the metadata. So let's copy this and let's come to our blog post, and we can export it like this. We can say export async, generate metadata. Let's import it from Next, and let's import this from Next as well. Update import from Next and update import from Next script. Okay, and do we have okay, so this is never read. I think it would be great if I copy it like this, and if I paste it like this, and I don't want this. I think it says that duplicate identifier. Okay, duplicate identifier. Okay, I should copy it only once. Okay, now let's scroll down, and do I have any issue here? Yeah, so all the issues are resolved now, and all I need to do now is return the proper title, return the proper images, return the proper description. Okay, description, I should be able to return the proper description. And in order to return the proper description, all I need to do is copy this. So let's copy this. Let's copy this and let's paste it here, and I'll get rid of this. Yeah, so we have params.slug, and it says that slug does not exist on type ID. Let's remove this params.slug. Okay, so they already have some props here. We'll have to update the props. So the params should have slug, and it should also have title, which is a string, and it should also have a description, which is a string. Yeah, these are our props, those were theirs. So I'll say title product.title. Do we have a title? Instead of saying product, I'll have to say blog. I'll say blog.title, and description blog.description, and that's all I want to import. I'll remove this open graph image, and in order to fetch the blog, I think I'll have to copy the code from here. Data. Okay, so instead of saying blog, I'll have to say data, because we have title and description in data. So I think we are good now, and we should be able to get the title and meta description. As you can see, we have this ultimate Python tutorial as the meta description. If you want, what you can do is you can use a template literal. I'll show you how to do that. So I'll say dash programming with Harry, and let's use $, and you can spend another half an hour and 1 hour to get all the open graph images, read more about SEO and making this even better. And I'll remove the content from this because all I need is data. And as you can see, the title has been updated. And if I refresh this page, you can see that it works. It just works. I'll do the same for about and contact page as well, but I think it should be as easy as we did for homepage. Okay guys, before we wrap the video, I want to show you how you can show line numbers and how you can draw attention to a certain line and certain word. So all you need to do is go to this Rehype Prettycode homepage, go to examples, go to the homepage, and you can select word highlighting, and I'll show you how to highlight words. All you need to do is let me see where it is. I'm still searching for where it is. Okay, so all you need to do is write something like this, and the moment you do this, I'll show you. Let me go to my content. So this is the code where I want to show the line numbers. So I'll say show line numbers, and also you'll have to copy this CSS and you have to paste it in your globals.css. So let me paste it to my globals.css and it will work now. So if I refresh, you can see that I'm getting line numbers. It is very important to copy this CSS and paste it in your globals.css. Now I can say show line numbers, and also I can highlight a word, or I can highlight a complete line. For example, if I want to highlight, say, line number 1, I can say I want to highlight line number 1 to 5. Now, in order to highlight the line, you will have to copy another set of CSS. So what happens is, basically, whenever you write line number 1 to say 1 or 2 to line number 1 and line number 3 to 5 should be highlighted. So basically with this line, I'm saying that line number 1 and line number 3 to 5 should be highlighted. And I also want to show line numbers, but this will not actually highlight the line, but it will add the class name and I'll have to write CSS corresponding to that class name. So let's see if it is adding the class names. Now if I do right click inspect, you'll see that it has added a class data highlighted line, and also it has added data line. It's actually not class name, it has added this attribute, and we'll have to target our element by using this attribute. So I'll see how they have done it, and then we'll simply copy that CSS. So let's copy this, copy selector. So I just copied the selector. I should be able to copy the CSS. Copy rule, and I think yeah, I'm able to copy this rule, and let's paste this rule inside our globals.css. And the moment I do that, I should be able to see the highlighted lines. You can see that we have highlighted the lines, which is great. We have highlighted line number 1 and we have highlighted line number 3 to 5. Now you can also draw attention to a given word, and how you can do that is you can do something like this. You can say I want to highlight carrot in line number 3 to 5. You can either highlight a word. For example, I want to highlight first name here. So I'll do something like this. I'll come to my code. I'll say I want to highlight first name. So if I do right click inspect first name, if I do, you can see that I've highlighted first name here. I've highlighted first name here. Now this is looking very bright. So I can change the style. So you can see that this color has been changed here, and data highlighted cars. Let me see if there is a data highlighted cars. I think there is a data highlighted cars in my CSS. I will have to change it. I will have to change the data highlighted cars. And how do I do that? Data highlighted cars. I actually want to change the CSS of this. It's giving it a yellow color, which I don't like. So how do I change the color of this? So I'll copy this data highlighted cars, and I'll say give it a background color should be yellow, and it should be a very light yellow. I don't need a dark yellow. It should be a very light yellow. And if I refresh, you'll see that it's a very light yellow. Okay, and let me see if it works on dark mode as well. Yeah, it works on dark mode as well. So you can highlight it like this. I think I should be using gray color. I should be using a darker color for it to be visible. And you can always tweak all that. Okay, you can always tweak it. I think I have chosen a very dark color. Let's refresh and see. Yeah, this looks fine. You can always choose a color which makes your highlights look good. You can go and experiment with CSS, but this is basically how you do it. Now very quickly I'll show you how to use Type.js. Let us say you want to add a typing effect here. So you can go to Type.js, and it is a JavaScript typing animation library. It gives an effect of, let me show you the live demo. So it actually helps you do something like this. Let's install it first. npm install Type.js, npm install Type.js, npm install Type.js. And after that, all you need to do is import typed, and let's copy the React.js usage. So I'll copy the import. Let's go to our home page, and then we'll have to use effect. I think I'll have to use it in a component which is a server component. Sorry, client component. I can make this a client component, by the way. Use client, and I can use effect and do something like this. Okay, let's use this use effect, and all I need to do after this is, and I'll have to use the use ref also. Let's copy this, let's put it inside this, and then all I need is this span element, and everything else will be taken care of. So I'll add span. So wherever you want the cursor, you can add the span. That's the story. Landing sites, Tailwind CSS components using Tailwind CSS. Let me add the span here, and I'm going to import use effect and use ref. So add use ref, add all missing imports. And let's see if this works. Let's see if this works actually. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it works. It just works. Okay, so let's add using Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS, and you can expand this array and you are going to get whatever you want. And React single quote TypeScript script. Let's see how it looks. Let's refresh. And React and TypeScript, and this is how we can make a tech blog. This really looks fantastic. If you want a part 2 of this video, and if you want me to cover dashboard and everything, make sure you comment and I'm going to definitely show you how to do that. So yeah, I hope you like this video. I really enjoyed doing this video. If you want more Next.js projects, let me know and I'll definitely bring some more content on this channel. Thank you so much guys for watching this video, and I will see you next time.